Well, it was a great day in Laramie. We concluded our practices for spring football. We're pleased. We have a game scheduled on Saturday. We'll look at the length of the game. Some of it's going to be contingent upon how healthy we are, but we're going to be healthy enough to play a game, so that's encouraging. We split the squads and split the coaching staff. It'll be a good experience when you're a young player to go out and play like a game-like situation. I think it's good and it's competitive. I know a lot of schools have gone away from a spring game. There's measured understanding of why you would do that, but we still think there's value in playing a game. Certainly hope that our fans have a chance to come out and see some of these players go ahead and compete. And so this time, any questions?
Greg, will it be like the past where do you split them, or is it like a draft? How do you?
Yeah, I split them.
You split them?
Yeah,
okay.
Split them and split the coaches up. So there's some competitive stuff going on. They've been planning trick plays here and there. But, yeah, we looked at it, and it's generally beyond just first-team offense going against first-team defense. We kind of split some guys up just so we can have a chance to get more repetition, to see some guys out there. Many times they're not guys who are starters, but guys that are trying to bring along some depth, and so playing time's important.
What do you hope to see just out of your team in general?
Well, a competitive nature, and guys play with poise and composure in a game-like situation. We're going to have some Mountain West officials here, which is going to be good and healthy for us. I know as a head coach, one of the things you always hope for is no injuries. Typically the injury that is you really get concerned about is a ACL tear. But I think nonetheless it's important to go ahead and conclude our spring with a competitive spring game. Along with that, just progression during the course of fall camp. You guys had a chance to witness our first scrimmage. And, I thought we did some things better in our second scrimmage. And so we're in hopes that the game takes on another step as far as our competency and execution and competitive nature.
Are there any specific guys you're going to be really like to see, or positions that you'd really like to evaluate or get a good gauge from this game Saturday?
Well, I think we want to really take a hard look at our quarterbacks. I mean, Josh has got the edge over Nick, but to see Josh and Nick continue to progress when coaches aren't on the field, coaching them in between each play, I think that's going to be important. Some of the other guys, I think we're still fairly young in the secondary, and so to see some of those guys come in and then a guy like Logan Wilson is going to really, get a lot of work. And he's a guy that right now we have penciled in as a starter. And so an opportunity for him to play in game-like situations is going to be important. And then some progression on some younger guys like Zach Wallace or Caden Jackson, guys who were freshmen that played a lot, but to take another step forward.
What sort of an opportunity? You mentioned some of the guys that are trying to break through, and especially with guys that might be out because of injuries, how much more of an opportunity is it for some of those guys trying to break through?
Well, certainly an opportunity. A lot of times people just say, well, it's a spring game, and they don't look at it, and it's not really anything that you evaluate. You're doing it for the fans. I think it's important to do it for our Cowboy fans, but nonetheless, it's an important opportunity for these guys to make progress and show what they can do. I think, too, for a younger player who's gone through spring, and we've had a couple spring practices, there's always a new bright shining star that comes about during the spring game, and so we'll see who that guy is.
Greg, is there anyone that won't play? Like, I know we haven't seen Brian in the first two scrimmages. Is he going to
Brian won't play. Actually, you know what? Brian's working on some academic stuff, so he's not even going to suit up. I held him out today. He's got a couple classes that he's got to come make some better progress. So you won't see Brian. I think there'll be a couple other players, and I'll get those names to Tim for a variety of reasons. So you're looking saying, okay, what the heck's going on? How come they're not playing?
How's injury-wise, what you hear on Jake and Meter or anyone else?
Meter's done for the year. He had a torn ACL, so that was disappointing. He'll make it. I think he would qualify for a 6th year. But, some of that's a personal decision for him to see whether he wants to continue playing football. You've got the same ACL tear, so I'm sure that's going to enter his mind. As far as Jake Mulhart, that negative x-rays, so he's in a boot. He's wanting to play. I don't think he's going to play, but he's wanting to play. So, but it was good. It was a sprained ankle.
Coach, I know you're not huge on social media, but the NCAA had ruled earlier this week that they can do some of the more like retweeting and favoriting and some of those things.
That's great.
Does
yeah.
that help you? You guys have a pretty
You know
young
what?
staff.
It helps us in recruiting. I think our recruiting office does a great job, and I personally take offense that you think I'm not a social media guy.
You do have the blue check mark on Twitter, and neither of us have it.
I don't know what that means, but that gives you an indication where I'm at. You know, I think as we continue to move forward, you know, we're looking at, and I'm in hopes that the NCAA takes a hard look at satellite camps, because I don't think that decision was in the best interest of the prospective student athletes. But certainly any avenue in social media I think is important. And, you know, we've been hammering around, okay, what you can do and what you can't do. Sometimes, you know, I think some of these rules are somewhat silly. What it comes down to is some guys just don't want to work, or then also sometimes some guys are taking advantage of something. I think there's a measured response, and we'll go with what the rules say. So I'm great with these new social media rules. Thanks a lot.
That's good.